Hey folks, welcome back to Gels on Sports. You're when you're with us, you're with the best, and we've got the college football preview of all college football previews. And tonight we're excited to be with you. Zach, how is it going?
Doing all right.
Zach is doing all right. Those are big words, man, big words. So we got college football starts this coming weekend. I think they call it week zero. I don't quite understand that, but most of the games start the following weekend. But here we go. We've had all these months, what, 8 months now, 7 months, 8 months. We've been sweating the entire month of August, but now it is time for college football once again.
Yep. Football time in Oklahoma. And I think, I'm excited for OU. I think they'll bounce back so they don't stay down. But this whole thing with Toe Mater over here, I call him Mater because it sounds cooler than Mateer. But, he's gambling. Put him on the bench. I'm a Michael Hawkins enjoyer. I think Hawkins should be out there, get more respect. But Um, it's funny, how football works. Because if you're good, then doing something bad, it gets swept under the rug. If OU goes out there and dominates Michigan and cruises into Texas week, no one's going to care about that whole thing. I think just the problem now is all the media coverage. So in the off season, especially leading up to those games Saturday, we just need something to cling on to. Right now, that's what it is. Um, so my name today isn't necessarily true. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, it's
But
pretty darn funny, actually. And for our listeners who don't know what the heck he's talking about out there, and I know there might be one of you out of millions and millions. Sooners quarterback John Mateer, um, I don't know, a couple years back when he was at Washington State, he was on his Venmo account, and there was back and forth between him and his buddies about betting on football. Now, how that works, I don't know. I thought Venmos were private. Apparently, they're not. And makes you wonder what Texas fan was putting that together. But
yeah, it doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. And the bottom line is these college kids, the quarterback at a Division I school, I think the going rate's like $4 million valuation these times, and it's crazy. So the reality is it doesn't
Doesn't
matter. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It's time to
Well, we got football though. We got football.
yeah.
Gambling is to each their own, I guess. But we do have week 0 here. Iowa State and Kansas State, Big 12. The first week 0 game ever between two ranked teams. And I don't have any expectations for either of these squads. I know Iowa State's bringing back a lot of dudes, and they were one win away from the playoff. Big 12 is kind of just watered down now, though. But it should be a fun game. There's going to be a lot of mistakes because they're just nervous. Um, don't have anything on tape for the other team. So, really, it could just be fun. You're just going out there and playing football, and whoever can adjust at halftime and make those moves, I think they can win that game. But K State has Avery Johnson. He's really fun to watch. I think Rocco is back for Iowa State.
Yeah,
Really
he
would.
is. He is.
They always have great receivers. They have solid defense, but it's a fun game, and they're playing in Ireland, so that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I think this is a nice showcase for two solid, not great, but solid Big 12 teams who
Yeah,
every year they don't get the 4-star and 5-star recruits. They develop players over the course of time. They don't have massive NIL money or make giant splashes in the transfer portal. They're just well coached, very good teams. Both these teams gave the Sooners and Longhorns fits over the years and beat them plenty of times. And this is a great deal. It's in Dublin. It's a standalone game. It's the very first game of the season. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
that's really the only week 0 game that gets me going. But throughout the week, they start playing games. I think on Thursday, but Friday,
Yeah.
2 games. Auburn and Baylor. We have Auburn and their quarterback saga. They're learning that Jackson Arnold is a terrorist and sucks. And Baylor at home at night, McLean Stadium. We know how hard it is to win there.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a fun game. I think a lot of defense in that game. If Jackson Arnold goes out there, go ahead and hammer that Baylor line there. And you will, that's free money because he sucks. And he should never be allowed back in that stadium behind you, but he will be in a couple weeks, and he's going to get ran out of the stadium.
Yeah, he
And
probably is. Yeah. There's another really interesting game at the same time on Friday next week. Georgia Tech at Colorado. Georgia Tech is a solid team. We saw them beat Florida State the very first game last year. Colorado, Deion Sanders is still there. They lost all their stars. It's just going to be an interesting kind of saga to follow. Um, the sports media loves Colorado, loves Deion. And I like Dion. I've always been a fan of his. It's just going to be interesting to see how he does without his big stars that he's had with him for literally forever.
I think this is a bad matchup for him. What does help him
So,
is
yeah,
at night and it's at home. But Georgia Tech, coming out of camp, they've had some trouble with like execution and stuff. So I don't know if that'll be a team that kind of picks it up as the year goes. But these guys beat Miami, who was on their way to the playoffs, should have beat Georgia. Kind of blew that one. But they run the ball. Every team that's beat Colorado has ran the ball at them. Just kind of ran down their throat, punched them in the face. But Colorado's going to be fun. They're going to be flashy. They're going to throw it up. But yeah, that's a really fun game. And weird stuff happens, man. Colorado plays those late games.
hmm
I'll never forget. I think it was 2 years ago when Prime first got there. It was Stanford, Colorado.
yeah, I remember that one.
I had
Yeah,
a long day watching football, a long day just sitting down. But um, it was 29 nothing or something. I fell asleep at halftime. I woke up to Sports Center and Colorado lost.
yeah,
So
yeah,
weird stuff happens out there at Folsom Field. That's a fun game for sure.
yeah. It's going to be fun. And let me tell you, usually the first full week of college football, there's a couple decent matchups, and we got some big time matchups of first week. Um, I- yeah, obviously you've got Texas and Ohio State, and depending on what poll you look at, this is either the number one and number two ranked or number one and number three ranked preseason team. None of that crap means anything. But this is wild. Obviously, yeah, Zach and I talked about this before their meeting in the playoff last year. I mean, we're Oklahoma Sooner guys, which means Texas is the mortal enemy. But living in Ohio all these years, can't freaking stand the Buckeyes at all. So we're back to this same type of a thing, but this is a completely different game. That game back in January, you had these long-standing fifth year. I think that what's his face? I don't remember the Suckeyes quarterback last year. Who was that?
Will Howard.
Will Howard, yeah, I think he might have been a sixth year guy. So they had these guys that had all these experience. This year, you've got Ohio State starting as redshirt freshman Sayers. I'm sure he's going to be really good. With that talent, they should win 10 games anyway, regardless of how he is. But then on the other side, you've got the most hyped junior, or I guess he's probably redshirt sophomore quarterback who's never really done anything in one Arch Manning. I'm on the record as cheering for Arch. I hope he does well. Um, Not when the Sooners go to the Cotton Bowl, of course, but otherwise, I hope that he does well. But it's interesting. This guy, we don't know anything about him, but he's all over he's number one pick. He's going to win the Heisman. Texas is going to win the national championship. But what we've got here are two guys that are making their very first big time starts, you know?
Well, I'm going to start by saying you suck. I don't like Arch Manning. I don't like anything about Texas. However, I am pulling for Texas in this game.
My own
But
son told me
I,
it sucked. I tell you, unbelievable. Yeah.
yeah, but Arch, no, I'm not a Arch Manning fan. Shut up. That was dumb. Um,
But I don't like the
no, no,
Texas
no, no,
Longhorns.
no.
Oh my God, I freaking hate
No,
them. I'm just saying that
shit,
I hope the kid does well. That's all I'm saying.
I don't. I hope he sucks. I hope they lose every game.
Yeah, but
Um,
play at Ohio State.
so this game's interesting because Texas lost a lot of dudes, especially on their D line, O line. Um, but again, it's a noon game. There's going to be a lot of mistakes. The team that can kind of just get in the rhythm, and Texas is good at that. I remember talking about that leading up to the playoff games. Sarkeesian finds a way to get some confidence in the quarterback and the receivers with those quick throws and screens and design plays, and he's really good at that. What it comes down to is the end, just like last year. Are you going to blow it on the goal line? Because
Yeah.
that's kind of what he does. I think he overthinks it. Ohio State, they're going to score. They have 6 or 7 5-star receivers out there, and they have probably some superstar running back and quarterback and defense. It's like they always do. But um, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think Ohio State wins this game just because Jeremiah Smith. I just throw the ball up to him every time, so they can't cover him. But
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
good, it's a good chess match there because Texas has good too high safety look, but then that opens up the run game. And again, whoever that Ohio State guy that's a superstar that we don't know, but everyone else does in Ohio, he could have a big day for
Yeah,
sure.
I can see this game being more of a defensive struggle than you might think on the surface. I mean, both these teams, if you just look at the names, I mean, when we get to the end of the season, don't be surprised if both of these teams average in the 45, 48 points a game, something like that. But this one, with these quarterbacks the way they are, with all the changes and everything, um, yeah, I'm with you. If I'm the Buckeyes, and one place where this is very interesting, and living out here, I see all the time. You routinely see Buckeye coach Ryan Day get outcoached, but they still win because they have overwhelming talent. It's
Yeah.
it's most visible when they play Michigan, who's had their number the last 4 years. And there's no reason Michigan should ever beat Ohio State in this era. But Sarkeesian is this offensive guy. Ryan Day, I don't know what he is. Sometimes I think maybe I'd be a better coach for the Buckeyes, but probably not. Um, just I this is a completely different situation, everything than it was back in January. And I'm with you, man. I don't care who the Buckeyes quarterback is. I'm throwing the ball up in the air to Jeremiah Smith and letting him go after it. I like my chances against anybody doing that.
I think this is a Jimmy's and Joe's game because, like you said, the coaches are going to overthink things. Ryan Day always tucks his tail between his legs, even when they win. They do stupid stuff, but they pull it out because they're Ohio State.
Yeah.
And Sarkeesian's going to have good designs, and then when it's crunch time and it really matters, they're going to have trouble making a play. I also think I didn't bring this up when he talked about Arch, but I think he can be a superstar next year. I think this year is getting his feet wet, starting 12 games, getting a feel for things in the SEC. Um, I don't think he's going to come out and just tear it up immediately, but in that system, it's really good for a young QB because they really do a great job just getting rhythm completions and it should be fun though. I hate that game's at noon. I hate that. I think that's garbage. But
Yeah, I don't understand that one at all. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, college football, I mean, we're obviously we're fans, and everybody who's watching, of course, is a fan, but the amount of money in this business is just astronomical, billions and billions of dollars a year. Why isn't this, yeah, at least a 3:30 Eastern time kickoff? Or the ratings for this game would be astronomical if it was a 7:30 p.m. kickoff time. I
yeah.
don't understand that when uh, it's
So
for reasons, I guess.
So I'm gonna flip the script here, and there's another game at noon that I will be watching over that loser top five game no one cares about. Syracuse and Tennessee. All
Ah,
right, so we got the Aflac kickoff. I think that means they're playing in ATL. So that should be fun. Um, don't know what Tennessee's gonna look like. They
yeah,
lost a
that's
lot
the
of guys.
Mercedes-Benz. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they lost a lot of guys on offense.
Mhm.
A lot of receivers, the quarterback situation, everyone knows. Tennessee, of course, they have the guys, but I like Syracuse because they're stubborn. Coach Fran Brown, he he's emphatic. I like that guy. He's one of the few guys left that he talks smack even if he's losing. I like that. But they're tough. That's a tough draw for a SEC team. And
Yeah,
they like to run the ball down your throat. They have opportunistic defense, and there's a lot of orange out there on the field in this game. I think that's gonna be a lot of fun, man. I'm excited for that one. It's gonna
yeah.
be a
This
good.
is the ultimate orange versus orange game here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no joke.
Now this game's in Atlanta, so technically neutral site, but it's probably going to be 80-20 Volunteers fans to Orange. But gonna be fun to watch. Again, another noon game. Um, there's some other ones here on the 30th. You get this is very interesting here at 3:30 Eastern time. You get Alabama and Florida State. Um, if this was last year, we'd be salivating because Florida State was terrible last year and Alabama was kind of not Alabama-ish. This game's kind of flown under the radar. But Florida State invested a ton of money in the offseason in their program. They went out, spent a lot on the name, image, and likeness, transfer portal stuff. That sure doesn't mean that they're automatically going to be really good. But if this was a Nick Saban coached Alabama team, this is one of those games they win 38-7. Okay. This is not Nick Saban.
No,
Nick
sir.
Nick is doing Aflac commercials and playing golf right now, and that's what he does. And he's on game day. But
So this is a interesting spot because Alabama has another young QB like Ohio State, like Texas. Not much experience this year in college football. I think that's why Penn State's getting so much love because they have guys that are coming back. Clemson as well. I like Clemson.
yeah,
There's,
yeah.
but Alabama's going into the Doak, which still that means something. Still,
Mhm.
they had a tough year, but that means something. Florida State got the superstar guy from Boston College, Castellanos.
Yeah.
And I think this is a really tough game. I think Alabama has trouble finding their footing and they only win 45-10. I
I
really
can see that. Yeah.
I, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid on Florida State. I know you thought I was going somewhere else. No.
No, I didn't
Um,
think you were drinking any Kool-Aid on Florida State. I just think this is going to be an interesting game, and I do think Alabama is going to pull away in the second half. But this could be 13-10 at halftime.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying though. Like don't draw any conclusions on your team in the first 2-3 weeks because they're just finding their footing. They're finding the plays that work, the guys that need to come in and in relief and just how to get into the feel of a game. So don't be surprised if your favorite team is playing against Temple and they're only up 14-0 at halftime. Like that's okay. Everyone's
yeah,
kind of just figuring it out.
yeah.
But
Sooners fans out there, and we are the top two. Just if they're only up by 30 at halftime, do not be throwing stuff at the TV in the game versus freaking who is that? Illinois State. Okay. Uh, First game of the year, you're getting jitters out. You're seeing how these guys who played well in practice, how they're doing under the bright lights. It's different. And it's a long season, so let's move on. Now, the night game that looks pretty awesome, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, LSU and Clemson, matchup of the freaking Tigers, and this is in Clemson. They're going to be touching that rock as they go down the hill. Every time I see Dabo Sweeney go down the hill, I think that he's going to just crash and tumble, and then all his players are going to trample him, and he's going to perish. Apologies to any Clemson fans out there, but that's what I see when they do that. Um, this is something because the two quarterbacks these on these two teams, they're talking about being top five draft picks next year. Clemson in particular, they had that run um, in the late 2000 teens. They kind of fell off a little bit for them, but they are loaded this year. Kind of like they're kind of in the same boat as Penn State. They're bringing an awful lot of experienced, really good players back, and I think that you've got a lot of that on both sides. This doesn't smell to me like one of those every 5 year LSU super teams that they tend to have. I do not think that Nusselmeyer is a superstar. Zach and I have talked about this many times. He'll go 14 for 28. He'll have a 90-yard touchdown on a screen pass, and the announcers are just saying he's the best thing since Tom Brady.
It's
Uh,
true. It's true.
I think I don't know what the spread is in this game. I imagine Clemson probably has the probably three or four being home field, but I'm all about Clemson in this game. I don't necessarily have anything against LSU. I don't like them in this spot.
Yeah. Well, how can you not love college football, man? I mean, Clemson rides the bus. All right. They ride the bus with all their pads on. They walk up to a rock and say, "Hey, buddy, tap the rock."
After
And then,
running down a damn hill, it's like a
yeah,
30-degree angle. Yeah.
yeah, that's nuts. I don't know. I think it's silly, but I love that every school has their quirks that people from the outside look at and say that's retarded, But it's hilarious. That's a fun game, man. It's Battle of the Tigers, Battle of Death Valley.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
picked Clemson to win the whole thing this year. They're
Oh
my
wow. Okay. I was going to hold on to my selection till later, but I like Clemson. Do they always play Georgia? I don't know when they play them. They usually play them pretty early.
I
That
don't think they do this year.
they don't. Here, let's see real quick, folks. We can check this stuff out in real time. We've got technology,
Yeah,
and,
they don't play,
and
man.
they do not play Georgia. I'll be darned.
Yeah,
Wow.
but I
Okay.
like I like Klubnik a lot because all these guys have been in that program, and there's in college football now. There's a lot of teams that are teams. Like you have football teams, but
Mm,
Clemson's a football program, so
yeah.
they
Yeah.
do things the same way. There's an expectation in that building for everybody to meet that standard that they have, and these guys have been there. They almost beat Texas on the road last year. They didn't start so slow. They
Yeah.
might have, but LSU, they're known for coming out week one and just blowing their wad. They go out there and they have a lot of expectations. I saw this goofball on one of their radio shows. He said, at first play, Gus should run a QB draw right at their defense and let them know. I was like, yeah, he should. He'll get his head taken off. But he's going to
Yeah.
go out there, go 34 for 67 with 2 touchdowns and 3 picks. Clemson's going to just dink and dunk down the field, be more physical. And I think Clemson can beat them up pretty bad in this game. I'm taking the Tigers in orange, the Orange Tigers.
Me too. I think this yeah, I don't think it's going to be a blowout or anything, but I think this is a 10 point win for Clemson. And I really like Clemson this year. They're not my pick, but I like him. I like him to win a playoff game when the time comes. And we just looked at the schedule. We updated this stuff in real time. They don't play Georgia this year, so they have a favorable schedule, and they get this game out of the way real early. So win or lose, I think Clemson is a team that will definitely get better as the year goes, but I think that they're going to start off hot against LSU.
I got one more for you. Just touch on real quick. Montana State at Oregon. So Oregon, they're trying to find their footing with the new QB. They're always fun to watch, but Montana State's one of the best FCS teams in the country. They normally make a pretty deep run in the playoffs. That's a fun game. It's one you kind of gloss over because you see a team that you don't recognize, but that could cause them some trouble. Kind of similar. I think they played Idaho last year or something like that, and they struggled with them a little bit. So look out for that one.
I
That could-
wanted to bring there was a couple things I wanted to bring up, and I didn't have that one, but I did have this one. There's a couple of these FCS, aka Old School Division two powerhouses that play ranked teams. South Dakota goes to Iowa State, and then the other one, okay, North Dakota goes to Kansas State. So it's interesting that Iowa State, Kansas State play the first game in freaking Dublin, Ireland, and then they both go back home 8 days later and play FCS powerhouses. One thing about if you don't follow smaller college football, one thing that these Division two or FCS teams tend to do really well is play really freaking awesome team football. They are fundamentally sound. Those players are there 4, 5, sometimes 6 years. They have great coaching. They are not 4 and 5 star players, but they're freaking really good. And it wouldn't surprise me a bit if there was an upset with, I don't think Oregon, but maybe over K-State or Iowa State.
yeah, and if you are a football watcher like myself, you realize that's possible. It's just a name that a lot of people wouldn't recognize, but those are good football teams. They can
Yeah,
play.
yeah, they are.
There's two more here because we got a. Actually, I think there's one on. Yeah, there's three more. Sunday, so we get some love on Sunday before the NFL starts. Beamer Bowl and Virginia Tech. Enter Sandman. This is a fun game because you never know what to expect with Virginia Tech, right?
Yeah.
Because they have a really cool entrance. They tend to kind of stink, but their defense is good.
Mm. And they always are great on special teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then South Carolina, just trying to build on what they made last year. They were strong last year. They were a good team, maybe a loss away from the playoff. That was a nasty team last year. Oklahoma knows all about it.
Yeah.
Bring back a lot of good guys.
Lenore's Sellers, South Carolina's quarterback's getting a lot of preseason talk.
Yeah.
And their ESPN guys this morning when I was driving in, they were comparing him with Cam Newton. He does have similar size. I don't want to, I don't like hearing stuff like that. But the dude's really good. Okay. Yeah. Cam Newton, it was an incredible college player. But yeah, South Carolina, Virginia Tech, that's going to be a fun one. That's a 3 p.m. kickoff time. Hopefully there's no hurricane or remnants there by then with that. I'm sure it'll probably be fine. That one's going to be fun. I don't know much about South Carolina's home field advantage, if they have one. Obviously, Virginia Tech is something with Enter Sandman and the field bouncing around. You know that you've been there, but that's going to be good. And then, of course, we've got Sunday night. We've got Notre Dame and the U. Um, for our old heads out there, was that 1987, I think, the old they called it Catholics versus convicts. Um, Way back in the day, it's not like that anymore. But these two teams have an awful lot of expectations. Zach and I, we've been to Notre Dame games. I have two Notre Dame shirts in my closet. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm a fan, but I am. They've always been fun to watch. They're just about the only independent team there is out there. So they play games like this every year. They play a USC and they'll play a Navy and they play anybody. Um, that one is going to be something. Is that game? Let me look. Is that in Miami? Yeah, it's in Miami.
Yeah.
Um, So Miami, obviously Cam Ward was the number one pick in the draft. He's long gone. Both of these teams are replacing a lot of people. Notre Dame, in my opinion, is a team that for years had a lofty record. They weren't quite elite. I think you can call them elite now. That program is rock solid. They get five-star recruits. They got a hell of a coach, hell of a program. Maybe they laxed their academic uh, requirements just a little bit. I don't know. Doesn't matter to me. Um, but that's going to be a fun way to close the weekend out.
Yeah, I think you're wrong in this sense. Notre Dame is bringing back a lot of guys. You know, they just lost Riley Leonard, but they're bringing back just about everyone else besides him and Benjamin Morrison. I don't know if Xavier Watts is back on defense, but Jeremiah Love, he's one of the best running backs in college football. Great House, Collins, all those guys are coming back. Their O line is back. Their D line is back. Their linebackers, I think their captain dude left, but um, I think Notre Dame is another 2-3 win team in the playoff this year. They're bringing back a lot of guys. Miami, they always have these expectations preseason. They got Carson Beck, who is notorious for throwing the ball around, and
Carson Beck sucks.
he's kind of careless. So I think with that elite secondary and pass rush, I think Notre Dame can beat them up pretty bad. I think they'll be a lot more physical. I don't think they'll be able to stop Jeremiah Love. I think he's going to have a huge day, and Notre Dame's going to get their first win in Miami in like 40 years.
Yeah, I think so too. Jeremiah Love, he might get close to, I mean, 18, 1900 yards rushing this year. That guy's incredible. He's going to almost certainly, barring injury, be a first round draft pick in the NFL. Yeah, I'm all in on the Fighting Irish in this game, even though the game is in Coral Gables. Uh, we've got about 5 minutes left. I want to quickly touch on there's actually a Monday night game, it's 1st of September. And it's only interesting because of the head coach at North Carolina, one Bill Belichick, who happens to have a whole bunch of Super Bowl rings, versus a TCU program that was in the national championship game just a couple of years ago. They lost that one pretty bad to Georgia. They were down last year, or they were down in 23, but they had a comeback year. There's a lot of talk about North Carolina, what they're going to do. I mean, I don't care who their coach is. They don't have the players on that team to compete with Clemson and probably some other teams I can't think of in the ACC right now. But it's going to be really interesting to watch to see what happens in this game.
I think that they're going to do little things right. I think you're going to see, there's a big hit on defense and everyone on the sidelines like excited. You know, little things like that, cheering for each other. Um, I think they're going to wrap up well. They're not going to drop passes. They're going to be fundamentally sound, not commit a lot of penalties. Uniforms are going to look cool. But I agree, it's a rebuild. You don't just go out there in one season and turn everything around. Got to get the guys, you got to get the buy-in first. But it's a fun game. It's a Monday night football game in college, which is kind of strange. But TCU's always fun because they got the Dallas kids on their team.
Yeah.
And they can play ball down there. They're nasty. So that'll be a fun game. It's kind of I'm gonna enjoy that game because I don't care for either side.
Yeah,
That's one of
exactly.
those
Yeah.
kind of just sit back and be like, yeah, this is interesting how this is gonna play out. But if UNC goes out there, runs them off the field, you know what's gonna happen on Tuesday morning on ESPN. Everyone's gonna be talking about Bill Belichick and how they might be kind of like Colorado, have that media rise, and they could get annoying pretty fast, especially if they start winning. So look out for them.
It's going to be fun to watch. So we got a few minutes left here. Oklahoma plays Illinois State. I mean, kind of a soft way to get into the season. It's okay.
I
Um,
got the helmet
got the helmet.
ready
Oh,
to go.
a lot, Sooners, yeah, they have to go up this year. 6-6 last year. They couldn't do much of anything on offense. It was totally bizarre because the defense was very good, and they played one game against Alabama. They beat the crap out of Alabama that I still can't quite put my finger on. That one kind of made the whole season just about. Um, They're bringing in a new offensive coordinator. They're bringing in the top quarterback in the portal, John Mateer, and they've got some skill position players. Defense should be solid. No worries about the defense at all. I've been telling my brother this week that Oklahoma could have a great season and still finish 9-3. Okay. So this game, I don't know how much we're going to see about them. The next week, they play frickin' Michigan Wolverines in Norman, which is going to be awesome.
They're gonna take them down, man. That's gonna be the arrival of the Sooners. I think second hardest schedule in college football. All right, 9-3 means you're in the playoff. I think they're gonna go 8-4. I think they're gonna be one game away. But Michigan can't complete a forward pass. If they do go out there and start that freshman Underwood, your first start or second start is under the lights at Owen Field
Mm,
against the SEC elite SEC defense.
great, man.
I think OU is going to go out there. I think they're going to run the ball. I think Toe Mater, he runs the ball and he's physical. He's got a little bit of Jalen Hurts in him and he can break some tackles. I'm taking OU under the lights. I think they're going to take down Michigan, who has the best helmet in college football.
And Michigan's helmet's freaking awesome. Yeah.
But OU, I think, it's going to be a great test for them because that D line's awesome. But this is like a 28-10. I'm telling you, man. OU's going to give it to them, and everyone's going to be talking about OU after that.
I think so, man. It's going to be fun taking this week to week. So we got about a minute left. I want to just give my prediction for preseason national champion, and I'm going out on a limb here. I'm going way out on a limb because I don't like Ohio State. I don't like Texas. I think that those teams are going to have just some minor problems over the season that's going to make a difference, and they're going to lose a game here. Maybe they should win. You're not going to believe this, but I am going to take that team that almost can every time. I am going with the Penn State Nittany freaking Lions
Oh my
who
gosh.
win it all.
Oh
Granddad
no.
would be happy.
Oh
I am
no.
going with them this year. I will almost certainly choke on my words, but this is the freaking year. They're going to beat the Buckeyes. They won 2 playoff games last year. They should have got to the championship game. It's going to
No.
happen.
No.
They got a very good
Oh,
quarterback in Drew Aller. They got the best running back tandem in college football with Singleton and Allen. This is the year for Penn State, all or nothing. And while
have you watched these guys? They can't throw the ball. I was there at the Ohio State game last year. Drew Aller, you could put me out there. I'd do better than him. Penn
I'm going
State plays
with them,
Ohio State on the road.
I am going with them. We are almost exactly out of time. Jaws on Sports, like
You're
and
nuts.
subscribe. We'll see you
Nuts.
next time. I am
Hey,
nuts.
go
Sir.
Tigers.